Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Coming to you, as always, from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tully. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Garrett K. Jones. There we go.
How's it going, John?
It is going great. Been watching some good Star Wars recently, and we're here to talk about some good Star Wars.
Absolutely. Yes. Today we're going to be talking about Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 3. I don't know how you felt about this, but I thought it was probably one of the best episodes of the series so far.
It was amazing, and I made a mistake in the description. I said Episode 2. I forgot that the first was technically 2 episodes. They just released them back to back. I forgot about that. Anyway, we can change that.
We can tweak that in post.
That's right. Like we have post editing in this show.
Yes. All right. So the episode was really good. This was going in, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about the episode and things we liked, things we thought could have been done better. But ultimately, this was a crosshairs centered episode.
Yeah. Well, let's go over the title, The Solitary Clone.
The Solitary Clone, and that's the thing is I felt like the title was kind of a misnomer. Like I was anticipating when you hear that term solitary, you think that this is a character who's going to be by themselves the majority of the time. I think
he is it, but it's not physically that he's by himself. Like you can see, like the scene where he's in his quarters. It almost seems like he's in like a solitary cell, like he's in solitary confinement. The fact that none of the other clones really want anything to do with him.
That is true. He's more isolated.
Yes, he's surrounded by others, but he's still alone. The whole thing, you can be in a crowd of people but still be alone. Yeah, that's what Crosshair's in right now.
That's very true. I didn't think about it in that regard, and I guess that kind of helps, kind of get rid of some of my issues with the title. But regardless, the title, I mean, it's really good because, like I said, it's a crosshairs centered episode, and it gives us a little bit more insight into his personality and the way that he operates and what's going on with him while the rest of the Bad Batch are off having adventures and getting into trouble.
Yeah. Now, I do have one question, and this is more of a semantics question. They said he'd been on that platform for 30 days. How was he surviving? What was he eating? What was he drinking? I mean, it looked like it was just one singular platform, and he didn't look like he had any weapons with him. Like it looked like they took everything. So, I mean, I know he was taught.
Question.
Yeah. Is this something we're just supposed to be? Jedi mind trick. Do not think about that.
Well, I mean, he's a survivor, so he's going to be.
He's going to figure out a way.
He's going to, of course. I mean, sure. I mean, he's not going to be drinking any of the water coming out of the ocean because it's all salty, but the water coming from the sky.
Well, we're assuming it's salty.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the water coming.
I mean, it could be. I mean, it could for all we know be a freshwater ocean, but yeah, it's still going to be not necessarily anyway.
Yeah, as far
he's going to figure out a way to do it.
As far as food, that I mean, I'm sure he probably had some rations in his belt or something, but. I mean, he's a fairly thin, fairly slender character, probably more so than some of the other characters in the Bad Batch, with the exception of Echo, who he's still building back muscle after being emaciated and tortured and all that. So it's entirely possible that what we see of Crosshairs in this episode is him. He's still trying to get back into being fighting fit, because he just gets cleared for active duty in this episode.
Now, I did find it interesting. We kind of hit on this earlier, the way the other clones treat him. And we saw that a little bit in the first episodes, first season, the first couple episodes where they're back on Camino. And but this seemed different to me. This seemed almost like even though the rest of the clones might view the Bad Batch as traitors and people that need to be taken into justice or what have you, almost like they view Crosshair as like, yeah, but you still betrayed your brothers.
I kind of see that, and yeah,
like yes, we don't like yes, what the bad what these guys did, we need to but they're still your brothers. You still turned on your brothers. It's kind of like the way if you look in history, the way like who was the American traitor? Benedict Arnold was treated in Great Britain. Like, yes, he helped the British, but still, he was still a traitor.
Yeah, and there is a ton of that in there, and I think the fact that he gets assigned to work with Commander Cody, for those of you who are fans of
that's another one I want to talk about. Is Cody, and I mean I'd heard rumors that Cody was going to become appearing, but just to see him again was so cool.
It was, and what I thought was really neat is that as they're doing their job, and as they're one of their conversations that between Cody and Crosshairs is that they're talking about what they've had to do, and some of their what has happened with Order 66, and Cody makes the statement of "Good soldiers follow orders," which is the mantra that was kicking in when all the other clones were going haywire and going after the Jedi. It was what Crosshairs kept muttering during most of season 1.
Good soldiers follow orders.
It was what was happening when Echo and some of the other clones discovered the chips inside their heads. And so they're trying, and so there's that echo of everything happening. And I think there's some traumatic stress that is building up between them. But when they're talking about what happened with, Clone Force 99, Cody, I think there's like this moment where Cody kind of just remembers he turned on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Kenobi was his friend. I think he's dealing with some of that.
Now, do you like that idea? Because I went back and forth about, Cody, the Cody kind of, to use an old wrestling term, the face turn, to him turning into more of a good guy, other than, instead of him just, remaining loyal to the Empire, of him, because it seems like that's what they're doing with all the named clones, is eventually they're all going to be turning and, either getting the chip removed or, turning on the Empire and going AWOL.
It's going to be interesting to see, because I mean, Cody obviously is showing some signs that he has regrets of what has taken place. I mean, clearly he was programmed and doesn't realize that, but at the same time, he's recognizing that he participated in something that may not have been the right thing to do. While good soldiers do follow orders, good officers know when to follow the orders and know when not to.
Yeah.
Because they may not be good orders. And so I think that we're seeing some of that in Cody's persona, but then we get to the end of the episode and there's an opportunity to end things peacefully. And the Imperial governor that is held hostage, he's ordering Cody to shoot the former governor, and Cody's hesitating because he doesn't want to kill anybody. He wants to just end this peacefully.
Yeah.
And Crosshair, he's just so bitter, so angry, and he's just so his job, the only thing he's been designed to do is to kill people from a distance and be emotionally disconnected from the whole thing. And so without even missing a beat, he shoots her, and that completely floored Cody.
What you just said makes it more understandable why he would be the one to not necessarily not be able to fight off Order 66, but to be the one to be okay with what was going on. Of all the Bad Batch members, he would be the one that would be the most likely to remain loyal to the Empire, because he has that detachment, because he's so because of his job being a sniper, he's so emotionally detached. He's so, he was always the one that was the furthest away from all of the other members of Clone Force 99.
Yeah, he really had no sense of brotherhood. I mean, he called them brothers, but it was almost like an empty, hollow gesture, because the emotional detachment was too far embedded.
Yeah, because in any battle he'd be way far away, while the rest of them were. It was cool watching them use the little
the pucks.
The pucks. Oh, that was so cool.
Oh my gosh, that was so neat. That was
At first I'm like, is he using them for, what is he going to use that for? And then I saw him shooting off the thing. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Oh. Actually, I want that in live action. I don't know how Dave Filoni figure how to do that in live action.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh. The sequence with the tank, though, was just spectacular. Like, he's sitting there getting their attention, and all he does is wait to sight down the barrel and blow them up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
It's so yeah.
It was so good.
So, well, let's talk about, the whole plot of the Empire coming into this, basically like, all right, Governor, you had a nice run, but here's your retirement package. We're taking over.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, because like, on the one hand, I get why this separatist planet was like, we don't want to have anything to do with you. We have made our peace. We understand the war is over. We don't, the whole point is we don't want to be overseen by you. And they're not given a choice.
Yeah.
And which is interesting, because like, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of systems in Star Wars that were separatist, in that they separated from the Galactic Republic, but they never chose a side in the battle.
Yeah.
They tried to stay as neutral as they possibly could. They recognized the need for fighting for that freedom, but they didn't want to fight. They just wanted to be left alone. They wanted to be isolationists, what have you. And the war ended up coming to them anyway, whether it was Dooku and his separatist forces, or the Republic showing up with their forces. At some point, they got caught in the middle. Or you just had neutral systems in general that were caught like that.
Yeah.
And now all these systems that were considered separatist, or even considered neutral battlegrounds, are now being taken over by this Empire that does not understand no.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really, and it was interesting, her saying Dooku was right. Dooku, I mean, and he was, he might have had ulterior motives, but he was right about what would happen.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing, is that you go back and you look, it's been 20 years since Episode 2 came out, and when I remember watching that in the theaters and being like, Dooku's the bad guy. He's not right. I mean, he's right, because we've seen the original trilogy and we know how bad it gets with the Empire. But listening to him be talking about it as if he's so knowledgeable, and it's like, dude, you're part of the problem. Yeah. You're the one who's helping create this. You're the bad guy. And really, he was a bad guy. That I'm not gonna mince words about that, but he had some redeeming qualities, because he actually did what was best for these systems.
Yeah. It was, but yeah. Now, what did you think of the character of the governor, the governess or governor? She seemed.
Go ahead.
I think there's a reason why there was a lot of real depth into her, because she was a character that was, at the end, expendable.
Yeah.
She was there to kind of get everyone at that point, to get Crosshair and Cody there, and to get them on that planet for the mission. I don't want to say she was a MacGuffin, but she was a plot device.
She was, and there wasn't a whole lot of characterization there. But what I think is done well is that even as a kind of a secondary character, she wasn't even the primary antagonist. The antagonist is still very much the Empire, but they use her as a foil. The only reason why she's resorting to any of these violent actions, whether it's taking someone hostage or blowing up, a supposed diplomatic ship, which is not diplomatic at all. It's the whole point and purpose was to be a foil for the Empire and to kind of give Cody and Crosshairs something to reflect on.
Yeah.
Do they
want on just a personal note, it was fun to see the battle droids again.
Yes.
It was so cool to see here, Roger. And even to see the one droids, the tactical droid.
Oh, the assassin droids, yeah.
The tactical droid, the one that was controlling the whole battle.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. And how that whole worked. You had one tactical droid that would control the whole battle. And then, but yes, the assassin droids. And I thought it was really cool how they blew up that one destroyer. The destroyer, the droidicas, where the one B1 battle droid fell through the shields. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That is cool.
That was clever.
And using the poppers to roll under to try to get under the shield, and remembering from Clone Wars how they had to train the Saw Gerrera's partisans to roll. You had to roll them you couldn't roll them too fast, or otherwise they just bounced off. You had to roll them slowly, and that was really cool seeing all that.
Yeah. And
what? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just the battle tactics that were used were brilliant. I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting, and you're starting to see the dehumanization of these soldiers under the Empire even more. During the Clone Wars, they gave themselves names, and the commanding officers referred to them by those names.
Right. And now they're going back to designations.
And here you hear them say, CM24, TK, and you're seeing the difference. You can see the difference between the clone troopers and the new TK troopers.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of the dehumanization. In fact, the commander, which I think is the same commander from the end of episode 2, the one who kills.
The Vice Admiral.
Yeah, the Vice Admiral. I think it's the same guy. I could be.
Yeah,
wrong.
It is.
But even he doesn't refer to Crosshairs by his name. He refers to him as his designation.
Yes.
And
not even a rank.
Yeah. Doesn't have a rank. Just a designation. And says, you're fit for duty. Okay, good. Here's your new assignment. Doesn't even give him a chance to he doesn't even ask, hey, how are you doing? What's going on inside your head? What's going on, how are you physically feeling? How are you emotionally feeling? And just complete dehumanization.
Because he doesn't care. Yeah. For one, he understands that clones are being phased out. So what does he care if one clone dies? There's a whole galaxy of people that can be. That's the other thing they talked about. That they were talking about there's a conversation when he's going in the mess hall. They're talking about there's a almost a subscription, but they're talking about basically a draft.
Yeah, and
about
the clones knew there was no draft before because they just created more clones.
And I wouldn't even call it a draft. It's basically what it would be is, every able-bodied man between this age and this age, you're going to be serving in the Imperial
It's going to be a true conscription. There's not going to be any
conscription.
choice.
That's the word. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, a conscription.
Yeah. And even then, some of those stormtroopers were kids, just like what we saw with Finn, where they were taken in as kids. And
that was the way I understood that. That was something that had just started to happen under the First Order.
If we're sticking with canon, yes, but if we go back and we look at the expanded literature, that was something that the Empire did. It wasn't as widely known or maybe talked about, but it's military forces, whether they're rogue insurgent forces or full functioning militaries, it's easier for them to indoctrinate younger people. And so not to jump franchises, but you look at the Halo franchise and Master Chief 117, all of the Spartans in his program that he was a part of, they were all abducted at the age of 6, replaced with clones, and these kids were trained from ages 6 through like 14 or 15 to be military strategists and special forces soldiers before they even got any kind of superhuman augmentation. Right. And so it's kind of one of those things that gets talked about a lot in science fiction, because it's something that could happen in real life. Not necessarily the superhuman thing, but just the conscription at a young age.
Yeah. Was there anything that you didn't, that maybe caused you pause, or not that you necessarily didn't like, but you're just kind of like,
I don't know. The episode was really
differently, or
the episode was really solidly written, and that's one of the things I really appreciate about it. I think my major beef, and you kind of helped me work through that. My major beef was the title of the episode, simply because it just felt out of place. But
and I mean, even going back to that, I can see it as you can look at that different ways. You can look at that as the clones themselves are starting to, you see more and more clones starting to question, starting to feel alone. Now that they're being replaced. Cody in his own way is now a solitary.
Yeah. Clone, there's definitely
on his own after going AWOL. The clones themselves are. There's so many ways you can look at that title. Sorry, is my daughter.
No worries.
She's peeking in. So,
what about you? Was there something that you didn't care for?
Not really. I mean, this was a really, really solid episode. I thought it was a good choice not to show any of the rest of the crew, any of the Bad Batch themselves. I thought that was, I was half expecting at the end to show almost like a scene at the end with what the Bad Batch is doing, but I'm glad they just left it. No members of the Bad. This caught us up on Crosshair. This was. And caught us up with the rest of the galaxy, what's going on with the rest of the galaxy. I'm liking the fact that we're not seeing, I don't want to say modern Star Wars ships, but the Star Wars ships that we know from the classic Star Wars. We're not seeing TIE fighters yet. We're not seeing Imperial class Star Destroyers yet.
They're still in process. They're still using a lot of ships from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, they're still being made. Because it's so close. So it's still so close, so short of a time after Order 66 has gone down that these things are still being. And I'm excited to see when we do start to see them. Will we start to see? Will we see the implement of the TIE fighter? Will we get name drops of like Center Fleet systems and Quat drive yards? And hearing about I don't think it'd be cool even just here it's like, yes, Quat drive yards is building a new battle cruiser that's going to be twice the size of the Venator class. All this stuff.
It'll really be cool to see how things go into play, because I think one of the things that the series does well is it kind of expands that gap between the end of the Republic era and the start of the Imperial era, because it wasn't like this clean cut. There are things that that are still going into place, things that are going to be in process up until, because the Empire only lasts for what, 20-25 years tops.
Yeah.
And that's a relatively short time for an imperial reign, after thousands of years of the Republic.
The Republic, yes.
So
yes.
It will be interesting to see how things develop politically and culturally and historically.
So before we wrap up, I just wanted to, as we kind of get into the season, a couple of questions that what you think. Do you want to see main line characters show up in Bad Batch? What I mean by that is like Vader or Obi-Wan or these characters that are still out there, but yet we have not seen yet. We've seen Tarkin first season.
Yeah. I think I'd rather be surprised, and I don't have a problem with using mainline characters, especially if they're written in and they have an actual purpose. They're not just there for nostalgia bait. They're not just there for a visual vibe. I want them there to actually serve a purpose with the episode and the story contained within those 30 minutes. But I would be just as okay if they didn't show up, because I like the idea that we're focused solely on this group of soldiers that they're trying to figure out everything in this new world that they exist in. Everything has changed so drastically.
Yeah. And for me, especially with a character like Vader, I think it does more justice if you just hear whispers about him at this point. Like,
absolutely.
You hear, maybe an episode with Crosshair, you hear whispering about a new Imperial agent that's out doing something, or you just hear some little whisper, in some far off land about this new monster that's out, that is Imperial monster that they have.
The only way that I would be totally cool with having Vader pop into an episode, as much as I love Vader, and I do, would be if it's an episode with Crosshair, he's on a mission with Codys deployment, and they come across Vader, and Vader recognizes Cody and kills him because he's cutting off parts of his old life.
Yes.
That would be an impressive scene, because what if Cody recognizes him just simply by watching his fighting style?
Well, I don't know, because Cody went AWOL. So Cody went AWOL.
Oh, that's true. He did.
Yeah.
So maybe Vader and Crosshairs are sent to go capture him. That would be a fun episode.
Yes. Well, I think that was as good a time as any to kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah, we got about a minute and a half.
Why don't you, Garrett, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you at?
Okay, sounds good. Well, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing. I'm on there posting all sorts of cool stuff. Stuff for my new book. My new book actually comes out on February the 3rd. That's in a little over 2 weeks from now. And so the book is called The Mantle of the Fatherless and picks up 20 years after the span of time of covering my other 4 books. You can also connect with me on YouTube. I have a channel there, GKJ Publishing. The show is called The Right Way, where we do author interviews, book recommendations, and creative writing tips. The tips this season are focused on world building, and we're doing that through the lens of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Awesome. As for us right here, of course, if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us warofthestars1@gmail.com. That is one of the best ways to get a hold of us. Also, our Twitter page is the same handle, @warofthestars1. Facebook, just search War of the Stars. That is also our Instagram. You can check us out there. If you want to support the show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/War of the Stars or to our Spreadshirt shop, spreadshirt.com/shop/war-of-the-stars. That's a long, but also, we are go to our YouTube page. Remember to like and subscribe there. It's at War of the Stars 9510, or just search War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. It should top up. Like and subscribe. And I want to give a quick thank you to everyone who checked out me and my daughter's new show, Star Wars Through the Eyes of a Child. 205 views as of right now. That is awesome for a show that had virtually no promotion to it whatsoever coming out. That is really cool. She is super excited about that and cannot wait to get the next edition out. We're going to be recording it actually pretty much right after we get done with this.
That's awesome.
I'm going to bring her in and we're going to record. We're going to be talking about the Clone Wars movie, which we just finished watching. So she is super excited about that. So guys, thank you so much for that. Remember to check out, if you're not able to check us out on YouTube and you want to listen to us in the car, we are available wherever fine podcasts are heard. Just search War of the Stars, Star Wars podcast, and you should be able to find us. Whew. With that being said, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
This is the way.